Loud. There we go. There we go. I got to make sure we have a tape on this, a point of reference to be able to go back to and watch it again. But super excited to be with y'all on this early Thursday morning. I see most of y'all are traveling, getting out there, getting into the grind of your Thursday. So good morning to y'all. Please, please, please be careful if you're not pulled over somewhere taking notes. I don't need you trying to, text and drive or Zoom and drive. I think Zooming and driving is probably more dangerous than texting and driving. So I'm asking you to be careful. Those of you that are in transit to whatever your next stop is, or your first stop, or your enrollment, or whatever you have going today. So excited to be with y'all this morning. As y'all know, Bruce Leotti brings the heat on Thursday mornings. This is our third week of a 4-week training series, getting the 8 steps to your effectiveness, your efficiency, your profitability. And every one of these have been recorded. They're all on our YouTube channel. Your agency director has the link to get you to those. If you need to review, if you need to digest this thing in smaller doses, please, please, please reference the videos, especially when we have the whole series of 8 saved for you. But I know that when Bruce brings the heat, he's not only fast and furious, but he is so detailed that every minute that I take of his time, he asks for 5 on the backside. So I've already asked for 2. I've already taken 2. So I guess, Bruce, you're going to need at least 40 minutes to grab those 10 on the backside. But, man, I'm excited about getting into the inspection part today, making sure the routes are rock solid, ready to go for a great, not only scheduling for a great day, but one day is what sets up each week, which sets up each month, each quarter, each year. One day at a time, we build our career. So, Bruce, man, I'm going to mute my mic. I'm going to turn it over to you. You should have the ability to share your screen, and let's go.
Whoa, let's go, everybody. Good morning. You're tuned in to your Thursday morning training. We're going to be talking about one particular step that is essential to the quality of your day, of your week, for that matter. So I want to make sure that everybody understands quality doesn't pertain to just the business you write. It pertains to the quality of your route as well. So we want to make sure that we understand the steps of the work side of the route inspection process, so that we can then, of course, expedite our checkout with our leadership team. That's the biggest thing, right? Some of us, we're getting into the checkout process, we're going over the routes, and there's a couple of things that tend to pop up, and then we've got to go back and correct them before we can really check out for the day and have that certification or that verification from the leadership team to say this route is notarized and stamped, saying there's going to be success. So after this training, I've got a route that I'm going to be showing you all. And I'm going to just be quickly showing you some best practices live in action, so that you can have a good understanding of what you can do to move it around and have some good things to really reference. But let's get right into it. So when we're talking about route inspection, we always got to ask ourselves why. Why does inspection matter? And the first thing is because it ensures you the right to expect to win, right? Preparation is the thing that creates the confidence in your daily routine to be able to have that expectation to win each and every day. The other thing is it promotes certainty. When I wake up in the morning and I know exactly where I'm going, I know exactly what time I need to be in certain businesses, I need that clarity in my life in order to run an operating successful business. And so that's why you ought to make sure that this inspection is something we're not necessarily cutting corners on. And then the other thing it does, it delivers consistency. You're going to hear this a lot throughout your career, but consistency is key, right? Discipline. All right. So by making sure you're inspecting your route, getting everything you need to fulfill your commitment and the quality, you're going to see some success that you've been dreaming of. All right. So let's talk about the other piece here. It exponentially increases probability of success. I'm calculated. I'm scheduled. I've got things that I got to be into to create buying windows to move the needle forward. And that's what strategy is all about. And then lastly, it's important and it matters because it's part of the process. There's so many people that I work with that they have challenges they face, and they're constantly putting the pressure on themselves when what all they have to do is put the pressure on the process. Export sooner, pack call more effectively and diligently. Make sure they're doing the necessary route building that they need to get into enough businesses and get into the right businesses, and then making sure they've got the research. All of these things are what we need to continue to apply the pressure. If we're not getting the results, listen, that's what we've got to continue to hone in on. Let's dive into the next step, right? So the other thing we want to talk about is, what is the standard? What are things I'm looking for? The first thing I'm looking for, we talked about it last week, is route name format. Making sure you've got that in format is super important. We're going to talk a little bit more about that to review it with you all. The next thing, you want to make sure your start and end locations. Super important. The technology that's in Salesforce or in Epic is only as good as your start and end locations that are included in there. If you're starting at your first business instead of starting from your house to your first business and then ending to your house, it just doesn't necessarily optimize it to give you the best scheduled approach to your day. So you want to make sure you're including that and inspecting that. Make sure, are your layers applied? I mean, this is a big one, right? There's a lot of good things we've been talking about over the last several weeks that give us priority in certain layers that we need to get back into to make that cash flow happen. Next thing we talked about was overlapping scheduled activities. In some cases, you're going to get some red banners above your route that are just uncontrollable. Some of those you want to make sure that you're able to go in and effectively shift around to make sure you can meet those time constraints there. Make sure you've got enough leads, right? I'm looking at my route. Does my route have enough leads to meet my commitments? My commitment is my commitment to myself, my family, my business, and most importantly, the future that I'm trying to build. And so making sure you've got enough leads to hit that commitment is super important to getting the success you're looking for. The other things we want to talk about is making sure you've got enough stops in there that are 8 before 8. Do you have the industry types that are opened that are early in the morning before that 8 o'clock hour to get to those two businesses before 8 o'clock and see about getting to the DM more quickly? Because we talked about gatekeepers aren't in the business. That's logical. It's a fact, right? It's not a theory. It's proven. So make sure we've got that piece there. 5 after 5, super important. I can tell you many instances where there was one last stop that I hit in the day and the conversion had happened. I haven't had any conversions for the day, but that last stop was the one that really sent it hope for me. And then from there, it carried on into my next day, and it just kept that emotional momentum moving forward. The other thing we want to look for is the types of industries. When I'm looking over my route, what kind of industries are in certain times of the day? Am I being intentional with that? Am I just throwing things on a route because I want to just get in and get out? Or am I making sure that I've got certain things at the certain times of the day to get those metrics where they need to be? That's what it's all about. Another thing we want to make sure we're looking for, if you've got existing accounts, if you've got certain things that you've been assigned, making sure you're adding those on your route. I'm going to talk a little bit of why that's important as well, but you want to make sure you're looking for that particular piece when you're looking at your route. Next thing, you got research, baby. Whoa, come on. We talked about this yesterday. Darren did a great job making sure you're standing out, building that emotional connection with business owners, because we talked about how the emotion is all they're leaning on when making a decision in that 30 seconds that you meet them. So having that research is a key contributor to getting that conversion to happen and that opportunity that you present yourself with. And then the other thing is we talked about those red or orange schedule conflicts on the route. Make sure you're looking at those. Let's talk about the name format, right? You got to have the date. Okay. You got to have the first initial and your last name in there. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then you have the name of the city that you're working. Here's a quick example. I've got my date, my first and last name, and the city that I'm currently working or going to be working that day. We talk about organization. We talk about structure. This is one of those first steps to doing that. Start and end times. Again, you want to make sure you're optimized. Time is something you can't get back, right? And on top of that, there's certain businesses that you need to be in at a certain time. And so with the technology knowing that you're starting at your house and calculating the distance between your house and that one opportunity that you have to be in during a certain time, it'll notify you that you've got to open up that travel window, or you may need to leave from your house sooner to be in that business by that time that you have selected to be in that business, right? We talked about one of the more important things here when building your route. Why do we optimize here with the start and end times being where they need to be? We talk about time, right? We can't get that back. We talked about gas. right? That's an expendable. That's an expense. You want to make sure that you're, of course, being smart about it and doing every little thing that's going to add up to aggregational gains in the future. And then money. Come on, baby. Let's go. Y'all are business owners in here. We got to make sure we're taking a look at the value of what making sure that these little things are happening to help save that. Okay. Now that we've talked about the start and the end points and how important those are, you want to think about your layers. Okay. You want to make sure you're looking at your layers and in the format of what's going to get me paid the fastest, right? What enrollments is number one, right? I'm going in, I'm seeing employees, I'm going to be writing some business. We're going to be updating some beneficiaries, whatever that may be happening, but that is more important. Appointments is next, right? Presentation to bring the value, to bring the close, which brings the enrollments coming. Hot and warm leads, baby. This is big, right? Hot lead is a business you want to come back to within 2 weeks because you were given specific information that there's interest, right? So that's one you want to make sure you're prioritizing next. And then the warm lead, of course, is one that, well, gave you a specific month. You did a presentation. You walked in. They told you, hey, we don't do any review of any of this until the month of November. Come back then, and I'll talk to you. That's just as much value that you can definitely value in those layers. So make sure you're getting in there. Scheduled follow-ups. This one's big, baby. Come on. This one's one you get more frequently. Scheduled follow-ups is a business that you walked into, remember, right? And then you didn't get to see the DM, but the gatekeeper gave you enough information to schedule yourself to be back in that business during a window of time where the business owner is more available. This is key. It's a process, right? So you cultivate, walk in, scheduled follow-up turns into an appointment or, of course, a presentation because you got in there at the right time. Or worst case scenario, you go in there and generate a hot lead or warm lead, and then you keep moving from there. Qualified leads, you fill the gaps. These are businesses you've probably been into or newly qualified. You just want to make sure that you're adding those on their accounts. That one's big. And then referrals, baby. Come on, we've been doing a great job collecting referrals over the last several months. Let's not forget to be adding those on the route and working those puppies. Those are hot off the press. Let's go. All right. Overlapping scheduled activities. Again, this is going to prevent, looking out for these is going to prevent route complications. You don't want that, right? Especially the more you start to then build with this technology, you're going to want to make sure that you're keeping an eye out on this because you've got more scheduled tasks that you're adding to your route than normal because from when you started, everything was qualified, everything was new. But as you start to progress in building these routes, you got to inspect that you are not having any route complications. It helps out with time management. Again, part about being a business owner is managing your time effectively. So not overlapping is going to help you get to that mastery level there. Of course, make sure that you're planning your schedule on a 4-week forecast, right? So if I've got some scheduled activities that I've got that I just can't get into because the time constraints are a little hesitant, I can look at my 4-week forecast and move it to another week throughout the month so that I'm not forgetting about it. But that's another effective way that you can manage those overlapping scheduled activities on your route. Okay. Now that we understand how we should inspect those overlapping activities and what to do with ones that you just can't quite get to fit, right? Use that 4-week forecast, move it over, and get yourself structured there for the next 4 weeks. This next one is, of course, your 10 blocks of time, baby. This is your blueprint for success each and every week. Use it. This is going to help you accomplish your committed number. I believe, and I know, as a matter of fact, the law of averages is working every single week. So you got that committed is essential to making that recipe work each and every week. So by hitting your 10 blocks of time, you're not only being consistent, but you're able to increase your activity week over week because you're aware of what your committeds are and you're building a habit of prioritizing your committed. It's not something that is just there. I love goals. Don't get me wrong. Goals are amazing, but a committed is just that much more convicting because that is my word that I have to myself of making this opportunity happen. This is also something that's going to help you keep your results consistent, right? That's not just a document. The 10 blocks of time is not just a document. It is your blueprint. So value it and let's stay consistent. 8 before 8, man, I can go on for days about this particular topic, but just make sure when you're looking for your route, I'm going to show you a couple of things on the route that I'm going to walk through with you. But you want to make sure that, number one, you're prioritizing this because DMs are usually the ones in the business first, right? I promise you. Business owners are the ones in the business, especially these blue-collared ones, these blue-collared industries. These business owners like to really just make sure everything's started off right, get everybody in, get everybody out. Administrative tasks are being managed. So 8 before 8 is magical. I promise you, it'll bring you so much success. So let's make sure we're staying on top of it. Now, the other thing is decision makers are usually one of the last to leave. I mean, they're kicked back. Their office at work is their home away from home. In most cases, they're sitting back. They're doing what they do. Some of them have TVs in there. And so having that 5 after 5 in there is going to help you tremendously. And then here, of course, gatekeepers are gone. Gatekeepers are gone. Don't forget that. This is one you want to apply to blue-collared industries primarily. All right. So then we're taking a look. The next thing I'm inspecting for is types of industries. Again, this is important. Okay. Know your industry types, everyone. Of course, this is super important because knowing the dynamic in which a business operates can help me tremendously have the insight to be able to walk in at a better time and get the presentation I'm looking for. So let's make sure we're studying up on that. You can refer to pages 5 through 9 in the enrollment training guide, which is available on Aegis Services, by the way, which again, it helped me tremendously as well. I've been able to direct others to use it. It's helped them. You don't want to overlook this part. Okay. Now think about this for a second. When I'm thinking about the industry type, I'm already planning ahead. I'm thinking about the play I'm about to run in that particular scenario based on the business type. Right? So much can happen. You get so much insight. Your enrollment setup's better. Just so much can happen. So inspect the industry types throughout your route. Something else I can do by understanding the business types is I could think about concerns that the business may have based on the industry. So by having that in your tool belt, you can then, of course, plan accordingly and get more out of your day. All right. Now, this is one of my favorite pieces I want to provide to you all is ensuring that you have existing worksite accounts on your route on a regular basis. Even though you may or may not be enrolling it, it's not the point. The point here is I'm going to use this opportunity to referral gather. I want to gather referrals in this opportunity. I'm showing my face. I'm staying relevant. A lot of value is built. I'm not saying stay in there for 45, 50 minutes or an hour. I'm saying go in, say hi, talk to the business owner, have them come out, shake their hand, let them know you're still around. It's so, so valuable when trying to build referrals within your Epic account. Okay. This is something else that you can do when gathering referrals. You can then grab your referrals from grab some of the stops on your route. Say, hey, John, I'm about to be stopping into some of these. Who do you know on this list that also can benefit from what we have? Referral letters, right? This is a nice stuff. So I'm adding worksite accounts to my route so I can gather some referral letters as well. Hey, John, I was in the area for just a few minutes for the day. I wanted to come by and see about getting a referral letter from you. So I've got a couple that I'm going to be presenting to today that would really help. Do you think we can get one typed up today? Awesome. Thank you. Golden tickets, another big one. Servicing, right? So I'm looking for things on my route because I want to make sure that I have opportunities like this. I can service an account. I can submit any claims they may have. Billing. All right. They may have a billing issue, right? We talked about quality of what we write. These are things that I want to make sure I'm being having a constant habit of doing so that I'm preventing some of these small things from happening in the future. Enrollment setup. God bless. You may be walking into an account that you need to be enrolling in about a month or two, right? So by getting this added to your route, talking to them, showing your face, super, super important. So just make sure you're getting those on there. Research. This is big, increases the connection. We talked about this. Emotional intelligence is big in the business world. Business owners have above average emotional intelligence. So let's make sure we're having that piece right there. It's also going to help make sure that you come across as caring and intentional. That's why we're inspecting this. Okay. It's going to help you stand out. What makes you different, right? Not only the fact that you did the research, but how do you talk about the research and show genuine interest? These are the things that business owners love to see. And it allows us to just keep building forward. All right. Now, of course, how you're going this, how many people do you think are walking in and using only observational report? Okay. This is big, right? Too many people use that because it's simple. It's easy. It's available. I walk in, I see a award and a plaque on the wall. Everybody does it, but rapport is going to help you really get that upper hand in building that emotional connection. So don't forget that. Okay. Now, a couple of things. The red and orange scheduled conflicts on the route. This is big because it's going to help you get to those scheduled activities on time. If you can't manage those, please be sure to move them on your 4-week forecast I'm just making a look at the time here. So 4-week forecast is big for that. Just remember, it allows for realistic expectations when aiming to accomplish your committed. Okay, this is big. All right, a couple of things I wanted to point out when inspecting your route. This is a very common one. When you're looking through your route, you want to look for this little yellow triangle or a red circle. There's a red circle, which is the yellow means that it's within an approximate vicinity within about a mile. I think I talked about that last couple of weeks. But if it's red, there's just no accuracy in it. And we talked about last week, so be sure to watch the training that we did on the route building section if you want to look a little bit more into that. This, of course, you can then go into detail and review and see if this is even in that area. If not, be sure to take it out of your route. You don't want to run into any of those issues there throughout your day. Okay, a couple of best practices: take ownership. Okay, this is your business. This is something that is so important to understand. It's a mindset. Okay, the growth mindset is something that has a 24-hour shot clock on it. Okay, every day you need to get ready to rock and roll and take your shot. So taking ownership is your way of doing that and staying in that growth mindset. Be intentional, right? Route inspection is something you need to be intentional with, right? Because if we just throw it up to throw it up, it starts to reflect in our numbers. It starts to reflect in our pocketbook. And if some of you on the call are challenged with this, get with a leader, get with myself, get with Brian, and we'll be sure to help you in any way we can there. Be consistent, okay? This is the way to clear up the air. You don't want fog in your week. You don't want to have uncertainty. Then the way to do that is be consistent in building routes every single week on Mondays. And that way you can wake up every morning, get to rocking, get your coffee in the morning, and just execute. One of the things I want to leave you all with here before we really get into the next things is you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. I think that's big. I think that's very big, especially as a business owner, right? We can have big goals that just blow our mind. But the level of our systems are the way that we're going to get there. So if they're not consistent and we're not being intentional and we're not taking ownership, that is something that we can definitely reflect on and start working on it today. A couple of takeaways: know and lean on the process. Don't put the pressure on yourself. It's really not going to get you anywhere. Put the pressure on the process. We now know what we need to do. We've been talking about it for the last several weeks. Let's get in on it. Set and hold a standard when building routes. This is quality, right? Quality. Research helps you stay on the stage for you to stand out in the market. Be different, right? You're going to be different by getting the research, applying yourself to it, getting your personality to really flare up, and it just creates a lot more out of your day every single day. Let's make sure we're looking to be held accountable. This is something big. We have a culture of, it's not an I gotcha culture, okay? Whenever we're looking at your route or we're looking at your numbers, we're on the same team, everybody. So be looking to be held accountable. I want to be held accountable. I love being held accountable. And so that's one of the biggest things I want to make sure you all take away from this is when you're getting your routes inspected and there's some things that are just not perfect, no worries. At least we caught it now. We didn't experience it out in the field. This is good. Now, make sure, again, the whole purpose of this training here is so that you know what to look out for, okay? I want you to take ownership of the inspection process. Do some inspection yourself before going into your checkout with your leadership team. That way it just expedites it all and helps with time efficiency. All right, so that includes the PowerPoint slide, but I'm going to do a quick transition into what we've got here. I've got a route pulled up and I want to just walk through some of these things with you. All right. Let's see. Pulled up the routes. All right. Give me some thumbs up, baby. You see my route? Woo! Go!
Got it. I see it.
Let's go. Okay, so a couple of things here. I'm looking at a route. As you can see, we've got the name of the city. There's some challenges here. Not quite the perfect format, but it does have the date. It does have of course, the last name and the area they're working in. I'm looking at the start date here. I'm looking at the start. They're starting at 5:30, ending their day at 6 to get home at 6. So they've got their start point here. Great job. Now take a look at the first business I'm looking at here. I'm going to zoom in just a bit so y'all can see it. Oh, let's see. That's not quite what I wanted. Okay, so it's a Mammoth Plumbing. Okay, perfect stop right there. I've got Flagstaff Auto Outlet. Not quite sure if this one's going to be one that I can be into right at that early morning. So I'm going to go ahead and move it. Now, for those of you that don't know how to do this, I want to just go ahead and walk you through it. There's a these blue little or these numbers down here. You can click on the this of course time slot, and you can select the time that you want to be in that business based on the industry type. It sounds like a dealership to me. So typically, you can get there early in the morning. I want to be there around 11 o'clock. So watch this. When I set the time, it automatically starts to update it for me based on the time that I want to be in that business, and then moves it. Boom, done. Let's go real quick and easy. Now, a couple of things you can do as well. If there's a couple of businesses on the route that you've been into before and you know you're going to be in there for a little longer, you can adjust the amount of time that you want to allocate to that stop. Again, I'm being intentional here, guys. Look, I'm not just throwing stops on a route. I'm thinking about maybe it's a warm lead or a hot lead, and I want to make sure that I'm giving myself enough time here. I can then select 30-minute window, 45-minute window. It goes all the way up to 5 hours. So give yourself some time there. Now I'm looking here. So body shop physical therapy. So it sounds like this route, there's some white collared medical office here. I'm going to move this into about the 11:45 hour. Let's see, 11:30, or let's say lunchtime. I want to be in there by lunchtime. Lunchtime, for those of you that don't know, these medical offices, lunchtime is a great time of the day to be going into these. I don't have a lot of these on my route typically, but when I'm building a route, I do allow for stops to be there during that. If I want to work through lunch a day, if I want to work through lunch or maybe have a stop during lunch, definitely having those medical offices in there. At least you could have one in there. Again, I've been able to have success with them, but it's just a matter of the timing that you're getting in there. So I've got Cooney Carpentry right here. Boom, fourth stop. Not bad. I like it. All right. Let's see here. Got a candy store here. Not quite. I don't want to be hitting a candy store this early in the morning. So I'm going to move this sometime in the afternoon. Let's see. And now if you can see, one of the things that I'm showing you here is how collected, like how close together these stops are. So even if I do move them around throughout the day, it's not going to flare up or flag any kind of changes I make because it's all feasible based on my distance. So I'm going to move this one right around, I would say 2:30. That sounds like a better time to do it. Okay. Let's see, drinking horn. Okay, that seems like maybe a bar and grill of some sort potentially. Don't really want to be going into that one around that time, so I'm going to move this one as well. Just have a little bit more of again, I'm thinking intentionally. So let's see, typically, those places you want to be in there around that 3 o'clock hour. And civil design and engineering, I like that one. I'm going to keep that one on there. Automotive repair, we'll leave it there. And then let's see, I think there was one on here that I was looking at and on the route. So as you can see here, look at this one, stop number 12, Grand Canyon Auto Supply. I love it. Look at these. Hours are 6 to 8, 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. So guess what I'm going to put? Guess where I'm putting this one? I'm going to be putting this one sometime after my 5 o'clock, right? I want to hit that one. This is going to be my last stop of the day. I'm going to go ahead and place it there. Let's go ahead and put it at 5:15. Get my 5 after 5, baby. Woo! Come on. All right. So, and then again, this is the type of intentionality we're looking for when building your routes. And again, it's the little adjustments at the level that we're at. That is what's going to make the difference maker in your careers, right? Look at this one right here. I've got a Morning Dew landscaping company. This one's a good one to be going into in the morning, blue collared. Let's see, that one's good. I like it. Let me move it. I'm going to be in there pretty early, so I'm going to leave it at that. So once I'm done, of course, I'm going to go ahead and save it, right? So if you make any adjustments, please, please, please don't forget to save it. I've done that many times myself. It's a mistake. So I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to go ahead, save, and it is done. All right. So guys, look, that concludes our training for today. I just wanted to give you guys an overview of the why, some of the best practices, and also show you just some of the things you can do to continue to sharpen up your route inspection so that when you go into those opportunities with your leadership team, you're going in and coming out pretty quickly. That's all I've got, Brian. I'm passing it over to you.
Man, that's great, Bruce. There was so much information. And guys, I mean, Bruce crammed an hour of training in 28 minutes. I mean, it's 8 o'clock on the button. I know it was fast and furious. I know a lot of y'all are driving. Please, please, please be sure to check back in and go through this training again. Here's the thing. When we talk about route inspection, the first person that should be inspecting your route is you. So route building that we went over last Thursday completely mirrors route inspection. The things that we talked about last week in building the route are the same things we talk about today inspecting the route. Why are we inspecting? It's better to put another set of eyes on it today before I leave the office, so when I'm in the field tomorrow, my time is maximized. Remember, these are the 8 steps to maximize your return on your investment. What investment? The investment of your time, the investment of your gas, the investment of your money that Bruce talked about earlier. And that last part, Bruce, I love where I can maximize the opportunity with an organized day. Not just have a day planned, but a day properly planned. I've never gone in and clicked that time slot to strategically place businesses at a certain time of the day. But think of how that helps you, because as Bruce was going through it, the research where I've made notes of the best time to keep them, it's sitting right there in my research. So as I'm scrolling through my research and it says the best time to catch them is in the morning around 9 o'clock, well, you better believe I'm going to put the time that I want to be there at 9 o'clock. So it allows you to maximize your effectiveness in the field, to maximize your return on the investment of your time and money. Besides that, I'm going to close this thing out, guys. Be careful on the road. Make Thursday great, and we will see you, I guess, tomorrow afternoon on the Agency Zoom.